that people do, but
I bet, like,
but all right. So let's get this going here. So start off. State your name,
okay.
something about you. Could be like either a job, a hobby, whatever, and then the name of a stuffed animal you had as a kid.
Okay. Okay, so my name is Jasmine Vizuete. My job is a accounts director for a leasing company, and my hobbies are drawing for sure. And my stuffed animal growing up is Mr. Giggles, and he's definitely in my room right now somewhere. But
I don't
yeah,
know where it is though.
he usually is like in the corner, and I could easily grab him. But I'm thinking maybe I moved him the other day.
Mr. Giggles. All right, tell me about this stuffed animal then.
So he's not from like my childhood,
Hmm.
but it was like the one that like sticks with me all the time.
Right.
I got it like from my boyfriend a couple years ago, like our first year that we were dating.
Okay.
And like we had like a long distance relationship for a long time, and the stuffed animal was the one that stayed with me the whole time. So whenever I like was traveling to Ohio and driving back and forth from college,
Right.
he'd be in like my passenger seat, so it'd be like my co-pilot, so we'd go through a whole bunch of shit together. And like when I used to travel abroad, and I wasn't with my boyfriend, I would just bring him, and it's just become a point where Mr. Giggles goes everywhere with me.
Okay. Well, this is an important question. You said that that Mr. Giggles was in a passenger seat, right?
Yeah.
Did you buckle Mr. Giggles in, or do you not care about his life?
No, he was buckled in, and I'll
Okay,
tell
good.
you that the first one of the times, like the first few times that I drove from New York to Ohio, he was like in my passenger seat, and I got pulled over by the police.
Hmm.
So he was there next to me, and I'm like, I have like a whole bunch of stuff in the back of the car. And I go to the police officer, like, I'm so sorry, I'm just going to college. And like, and I just like pointed at my like stuffed animal with me, like, I'm so sorry. And like, it's like, I just never speed. And I was just like really nervous. And like, he
Right.
saw like Mr. Gilgil's next to me. He's like, who's that? And I'm like, oh, that's my co pilot and stuff like that.
You said,
But
who's
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Who's that?
He's like, I know. He's like, he's my emotional support animal.
So wait, did you say what kind of animal Mr. Giggles was?
Oh, so he is a teddy bear. He's a
Okay,
teddy bear, and
teddy
he's
bear.
got a little
Classic.
bow tie, a blue bow
Classic.
tie, black teddy bear.
Um, all right, so here's an important question. When you shower, wait, first of all, are you a bath or a shower person? I
A
mean, how many
shower
bath
person.
people are really left in the world? Not many, right?
Not
Okay.
not many.
When you shower, do you
Mhm.
raw hand or loofah or whatever, towel or whatever?
Okay, so I have both. I do both.
Okay.
Honestly, there's times where I go into loof. Lately, I've been loofing a lot more just because like germs and stuff. I've been really like nervous about it. So like
Okay.
I really go in. But during the winter times, I notice I can't do it because I have like really sensitive skin. So I come
Mhm.
out like red raw kind of thing if I loofah it.
Okay.
So
Do you have a preference, or it just depends on the season? Like, would you, if you had to choose, would you do raw hand or loofah for the rest of your life?
hmm. If I chose, I probably would do raw, like
Okay.
just
Raw
soap
hand.
kind of thing. Yeah.
No one actually calls it raw hand besides me. I just think it sounds
Oh my
funny.
god, with the
Raw
soap.
hand. Gotta raw hand it. That's just how it's
Yeah.
called. Who raised you?
Who raised me?
Yeah.
So that's a very interesting question for me. Like my parents weren't involved raising me.
Okay.
My mom was a very business person, and my father was he was an absent father. He was presently there, but he just didn't care about us.
Okay.
He was physically in our lives, but
Hmm.
he never was active in school. He was never like the type of person like to wake us up in the morning or get us
Right.
ready for school or anything like that.
Okay.
So for me personally, like since my mom was very active, she usually left work to go to work around like 7ish kind of thing.
Okay.
So It sounds crazy, but I used to have a lady that would come and pick me up from home,
Hmm.
and she'll drive me to school. After school, she'll drive me to like all my events and stuff like that. So she was like my chauffeur
Okay.
kind of thing. So she was the one who kind of raised me, but I never really spoke to her because she only spoke Spanish,
Hmm.
and I, growing up, never knew Spanish. So it was just much her in the front driving me in the back of the seat, just
Huh.
around.
Now, and but okay, so as and you're a kid, when did this stop happening? Like what age?
It stopped when I went to high school.
Okay, so a good portion of your childhood.
Yeah.
So did you feel affectionate towards this person, or even though you didn't talk, or was it just kind of like, well, it is what it is. This is the person that drives
Um,
me.
like in sense, like growing up, she was like the only adult figure that I would see every day.
Mm,
So sometimes there are times where like I no. It was hard. It was really hard when I stopped cuz so I she stopped taking me um like my in 8th grade, in the
hmm.
beginning of 8th grade, and the
Yeah.
reason why she stopped was because she had beef with my father. My
Oh,
father
okay.
was like a completely rude to her, and like said something out of the blue, had not like I said, he had nothing to do with us. So
Hmm.
him just like coming out to her saying something, and she just got offended, and she's like, she literally was with me since I was like, I'm gonna say as early as 16 months
Mm.
till I
Wow.
was in the 8th grade, so that's 13.
Yeah.
So he was the one who pretty much ended the whole thing with her driving
Wow.
me everywhere. And it was kind of a shock because like in my mind I was like, oh, like she would have been there for like my sweet 16, or she would have been there for like these things had like it had like I still stayed with her.
Right.
But then it also came to a point where I was like, you know what? It was kind of annoying because since she picked me up right after school, like
Hmm.
I never got to hang out with kids, or
Yep.
never like was able to like socialize or do anything like that. So it was like, oh great, like I get my independence kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she was the only consistent person in my life.
Wow.
Like my
Interesting.
mom would always come home like late, like 8, 9 o'clock usually,
Right.
or like late in the evening. We'll only see her to eat dinner, and that's it, kind of
Now,
thing.
was your mom um like there emotionally, just didn't have the time, or was she also kind of shut off like your dad?
So that's something that like I've had conversations with like my sister. Um, she in her mind thinks that she was very emotionally attached to us,
Mm,
but me going back and thinking about it, I'm like, honestly, I've never had like a conversation with my mom about like, oh, what I did with friends, or like what was going on, or like
right,
those
right.
conversations you have with your parents that like they ask you, how's your day going? And my answer usually is like, fine,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Like
it's
I
fine.
never was, I never felt close to her until I was like early 20s, like early to mid 20s, when I was about to move to Ohio,
Okay.
which was like in my mid 20s. That was the first time when I first was like, okay, well, maybe. And now during the pandemic, our relationship has grown.
Mm.
So, but emotionally close to her, I don't think so.
But wow, so the pandemic has brought you like bonded in some way, you and your mother.
Yeah, in some sorts, because like yeah, she definitely was more reliant on me during this
Mm,
time, like getting her food, paying her bills, doing things like that. So now she finally sees that like I'm very independent and I'm
right.
able to help her in multiple ways, and she's starting to see that from me. So in that sense, like as an adult, she has more respect for me lately
Mm.
than it was before. So I think that's the only good thing that's happened really about the pandemic, is that I've gotten a little bit closer to her and can understand her, but I have a little bit more compassion to her,
Right.
versus like before I was just like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Is your dad still around or?
No.
Okay.
I haven't physically seen him in like 7 years.
Okay, wow. It's
Yeah, like
okay.
my parents got divorced when I was 15, 14, 15, 15.
Mm, okay.
When I got 15, and he was just a
That was kind
complete
of that.
ass.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He was never there, so it was not like a big loss in my life. It was just like, huh,
Right.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I guess, yeah, it's like it's different that since he was never really there to begin with, the physical
Mhm.
absence of him is just kind of like, eh. But I'm glad that you like it sounds like you grew to sort of go like, all right, well, this is who my mom is. I'm gonna accept that. And that kind of benefited both of you, it seems like. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
talking for you, but that's what it seems like.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. I'm
Mhm.
like, Um, she was a very controlling person in my life. She
Mm,
like used to tell me you had to do this,
mm,
so I just did it.
right.
And it was very frustrating for me because a lot of times like she just didn't know me, like really actually know me. So the things that I liked, so the things that she would make me do, I'm like, I don't really want to do that. And like I just never knew how to tell her like that's not something I like. And like I know like I said, my biggest hobby is drawing and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I finally like I know in like my senior year in high school, I really, really wanted to go to an art school. Hands down, wanted to go to an art school. I even asked my mom to get me like a private tutor so I could work on my portfolio and do all that.
Mhm.
And she finally was able to let me do that. And then, like, right when I was applying for colleges, she's like, no, you can't do that. You have to have like a profession. Like, it has to be something that's
Mhm.
like an actual job eventually. So that's
Yeah.
when like I went to school for architecture and I was just like I hated it. I
Right.
absolutely despised it.
Yeah.
But I stuck with it for 3 years because of her. But
Yikes.
yeah,
But obviously that didn't work out, the whole architecture thing.
obviously it didn't work
Yeah.
out.
It's stress
Yeah.
just hearing architecture school just stresses me out just hearing that. I'm
Oh
like,
my
"Oh god, that
god.
sounds horrifying."
Like going there, my anxiety levels were like I'm just
Yeah.
telling you like oh,
No,
it was
thanks.
so bad. It was so bad. Like but I stuck with it because I was like, I hate proving to my mom that I can't do something.
Mm, yeah,
And
yep,
so like I felt like she put me up to fail
yeah.
and I didn't want to prove to her that I couldn't do it.
It happens to so many people where you end up living a life based
Mhm.
on either proving someone wrong or trying to prove them right.
Oh
And
yeah.
you're like, "Oh, wait, I forgot to live what I wanna live. I'm just trying to
Mhm.
do this weird other thing," and yeah, it's people get
I
knocked so
know.
off course from that.
Yeah.
Um, what's a book that made a really big impact on you in your childhood?
Okay. So, Harry Potter.
Okay.
100% hands down. So it's over the years it's had different like meanings for me
Mhm.
and what it represented. Like in the beginning, the reason why I agreed to going to architecture school was because of the movies. Because I would see like the architecture in like the schools and
Right.
I'd see like how the design sets were and I literally was like I would love to do that for a living. Like in my mind I had thought of like set design, some sort of form of that, like that's what I wanted, like really liked and was passionate about was because of the movies.
Mhm.
And that was like my first steps in. And then over the years, like I've read it countless times and it's had different meanings for me. And like lately, it's really helped with my anxiety and my depression and things like that to look back and see like, there's different ways to view life. So that's definitely my book that represents me the
Right.
most.
Now, do
Mhm.
you we don't have to get too far into this. Do you like have you followed the whole J.K. Rowling controversy that's been going on and like
Yes. So when it like So for me, it's very hard because my sister is a lesbian, and she's
Mhm,
married, and she has a wife and everything like that.
mhm,
And I've personally have been around people who are trans, or people who are in the whole LGBT community and stuff
mhm,
like that. And for her to say something like that, it was very hard, just because like one of her main things that she goes around is always about the underdog, or the person who's different. So that's why it's like mind blowing for me to for her to say that she doesn't believe in trans, or her issues with trans people.
right,
And so I go and I'm like, but I don't get it. Like, she has changed characters to fit into the community. So I don't understand why she's okay with a person being like their main Albus Dumbledore being gay, or but she can't get her mind about a person being trans,
right.
even though people transform there. So it's like, if you transform into an animal, but I guess you can't transform from a man to a woman. That's mind
Yeah,
blowing. For me, it's definitely, at this point, I have like divided her from like the book
yep,
itself.
yep,
So like I relate to the Harry Potter series a lot. I don't relate to her more recent works like the Fantastic Beasts and stuff like that. Like, it's cool
mhm,
and like great, but I don't relate to it as much. So it's
right,
easier for me to step away from like her personal views on certain
mhm,
things. So in that sense, like, yeah, it just is
yeah.
crazy for how she just thinks it's okay to accept one but not the other.
Unfortunately, we can't choose the artist that makes the art we love.
I
That's
know.
just a sucky
It's
fact in life.
crazy. Yeah. And
Um,
you can't ever like really be the perfect idol either.
oh
Like,
yeah, no,
you know.
definitely not. Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. And I think that's a big mistake that we make is like we expect everyone to be so in line and so perfect,
mhm.
and it's never gonna be that way. There's
Yeah.
even if it's not something like groundbreaking that happens, that's terrible.
Mhm.
Everyone's gonna have stuff that does not sit well with you.
No.
Um, do you have a
Yeah.
favorite T-shirt?
So I used to have one. It was a Queen shirt, from the band Queen,
Mhm.
and it was like their touring shirt. So I got it from my
Wait,
art
it was a
teacher back.
legit vintage Queen shirt? Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
My
so cool.
teacher from my art teacher from high school, she knew I was a huge Queen fan, and she
Mhm.
gave it to me and for like my graduation, and I absolutely loved it, died for it, loved it. Um and I was like so brokenhearted that when I moved back from Ohio back to New York, um in the move, I had left a box or like some of my clothes at one of like an old friend's house, and it just disappeared. And
Ugh,
like my one shirt
they
that I
stole it.
always remember, it's
The friend
gone.
stole it.
She definitely did. She
Does she
stole it.
love Queen?
No, I don't think so. She
Then
definitely did not.
you know what? I'm checking eBay right now. I found it.
Right? Exactly. It was like the best shirt. It was like the perfect fit. It was like everything
Uh,
about it was amazing. And it was like Queen, and it was sentimental to me and everything like that. It was just like
that's
the worst
devastating.
feeling. Yeah.
I got two more questions for you.
Go
Um, what's a TV show you watched as a kid but didn't really enjoy? You just watched because it was on, but you did it often.
Mm.
If there's
So,
not one, there's not one, but
mm, a TV show,
maybe it's just me. Maybe I just did that.
like I remember watching like a lot of shows, like certain shows growing up.
Mhm,
Like I remember like The Fresh Prince, like
mhm,
watching that live. I remember like Friends at the time as well.
mhm.
But there wasn't like I wasn't like consistent with it. It was like whenever
Yeah,
it was on kind of
right,
thing.
okay,
But a show,
okay.
no.
Actually, you know what? I'll ask 2 more now. So,
There you go.
what's your go-to snack food?
Ooh, okay. Um, Cheese
Cheese?
all the
Any
time.
specific kind?
I love Gouda.
Okay.
I love all Breeze, like Brie. Anything, honestly, goat cheese. I love all types of cheese. And I've sadly learned that I'm lactose intolerant.
It's the
And
worst.
so what I've been doing is I purposely bought like lactate pills so
Mm-hmm.
that I could just like binge eat cheese and stuff like that.
Are you a wine and cheese person or just cheese?
Um, cheese and crackers.
Cheese and
Cheese and
crackers.
crackers.
So you've got the
It's some
crackers, the cheese, and the pills.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was like something like it's weird because like when I was like even this is like when I was growing up, I'd be too lazy to like make anything, so I'd
Mm-hmm.
always like would just have cheese and I'd just like eat it. And,
Yeah.
like that would be like meals for me, and I was just like whatever, you know. But yeah, that's my
Um,
go-to.
do you have like a small piece of life advice? Nothing grand, little things that'll make your life better in little ways.
Um, I think never be afraid of buying something that would bring you joy.
Okay.
You know, no matter how expensive it is or how like cheap it is, if it's gonna make you happy, just buy it.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right, good.
Mhm.
Now, do you want anyone to follow you on anything, your art maybe, on
Um,
Instagram?
so I'm trying to hopefully eventually going to start being more active on Instagram and
Mhm.
release some of my like art because I've been trying to do some digital work, like
Okay.
digital art. Um, I guess you could follow me on, let's see what my stuff is called. Like right now it's this, but I'm probably going to be changing it up soon. So it's just okay, I'll just give you my personal one. So follow me at Dukeayy, Dukeayy
Okay. That's Instagram, right?
on Instagram
Okay,
at
awesome. Well, look, thanks a lot for doing this.
Yeah, no worries. It's
And
fun. It's good.
we'll catch up soon.